In my dreams, I could hear a voice coming from downstairs. The sound reverberated through the empty hall as if I were laying in the cradle when I was a child, hearing my mother hum an unknown lullaby. But the tune of the music had a kind of disharmony that was distinctly sinister, sort of like when you open your eyes only to find your cradle dangling off the edge of a cliff. The strange midnight music was unsettling, like something dark and ominous was about to spring out of the shadows and grab me. Do you want to go downstairs and have a look? Yes, I do. Let's go downstairs and have a look. It's a little creepy, but it's not good to just ignore it. Can't sleep anyway. Climbed out of the bed and took my dagger out of my inner pocket of my coat. Moving carefully with the dagger behind my back, I slowly cracked the door open. When I pushed the door hinge let out a loud squeak. Hadn't noticed the noise before I went to sleep, but given how quiet it was at that moment, any sound would seem to be magnified a million times. The music downstairs stopped. I locked the door and sat in bed until it stopped. I didn't hear any noises that night. Okay, so someone was playing music, and they heard my door squeak, and then they stopped playing music. Well, Anzox is someone who plays music, so maybe it was him. It's a little weird. Maybe I should have stayed in bed. Day 2, 24 December, 1285. For the rest of the night, I slept comfortably and dreamlessly. Actually, is it still 24 December? Or is it past midnight? Oh, it's 5 minutes to Christmas, guys. It's almost Christmas. That means it's not Christmas yet. For the rest of the night, I slept comfortably and dreamlessly. First day of my holiday. Looks like I get to spend my Christmas holiday with a half-mad bard and a mysterious adventure in a tavern in the middle of nowhere. And eat nothing but vegetarian dishes all day long. Truly, such an extravagance would make even the Pope himself jealous. There was a thick layer of snow on the windowsill, but it was sunny outside. I held the handrail of the stairs and went down slowly. Could hear the sound of wooden cups knocking on tables from the hall. Could smell the barley spread through the fire-warmed air. Whoa, 4 people. Sure enough, more guests came as soon as it was sunny. Finally up, eh? God, it must be nice to have a cushy smart guy job where you don't have to wake up before dawn. Oh, come on. I only get to sleep late during the holidays. I scratched my disheveled hair a few times. Hi, Annis, why are you here so early? The dock's completely frozen. It's either be bored at home or come drinking at the tavern. He reached down and clasped hands with me, squeezing tight. What the hell? I still need that hand, you know. Maybe you should exercise more. How are you gonna catch criminals if you can't even take a handshake? Iannis clapped me on the... Iannis clapped me on the shoulders as he spoke. Easy. I'm just messing with you. So how are you gonna stay here during the Christmas holiday? I figured someone like you would go on a trip or something. Ow, well, can't travel with these injuries. I think you broke something important. Maybe I should put you out of your misery then. No thanks. If you pat me to death, you'll just ruin Sarzen's business. Ionis grinned and raised a hand just as Sarzen poked his head out of the kitchen. Remember, Ionis, if you keep messing around, I'll throw you out. Not everyone here is as big, buff, and tough as you, sailor. For example, Peter. Hey, don't look down on me! Peter slapped his hands on the table and stood up. But it's true, I mean, I've never seen Ionis lay a finger on you. That's because he knows he can't mess with me. Really? Want to take me on, Fluffy? No, I don't want to end up losing control and breaking you in half. Pfft, either do it or shut up. Well, it's not like my body's weaker than yours. Alright, there's some things that don't have to be forced. Why must different races be so different? At least everyone's the same in legal sense. What's the use? I don't need to deal with criminals every day like you. The law is unequal and it is my business. Besides, what else is the same in a legal sense? Booze money and room charges. Those aren't even legally mandated, that's just you being an opportunist. Speaking of opportunist, hey Kane, did you find another job yet? Well, a few days ago, the cook at the small restaurant nearby quit because of the low salary. Figured I'd go and try my luck. I mean, it's a long shot, given how many times I've been canned in the past. Maybe get a hold of your temper. No one will dare hire you if you have another attack. If you control your temper, perhaps Sergeant will hire you as a kitchen assistant in the busy season. Look, if keeping my temper was as easy as you said, I wouldn't have gotten kicked out of so many. It's okay. Nobody in this world is perfect. I'd better comfort him a bit, or he'll end up blowing up later. I just want everything to go smoothly this time. Kane started to drink alone. Seems that everyone hasn't changed much, and it's the same as last year when I couldn't get a case and spent a lot of time in taverns. Ah, the good old days. Oh, excuse me. Sure, being broke and staring at an empty wallet hurt, but in the company of my friends, life didn't seem to be so sad. What should I do now? I want to talk. Oh, I want to map. Wait, hold on. You go hall, up, hall, kitchen, cellar, toilet. Let's go back to characters. Ionis works as a porter at the wharf. Rabbit working as a farmer. He's a good drinker, so Sergeant frowns when he orders stewed carrot. Buffalo recently found his 8th job at a nearby restaurant and works as a cook. Tends to break things when he gets angry. She says she has a cat, but she won't drop her veil. But, oh yes, okay. So, let's go visit the toilet. I'll go to the restroom and comb my hair. I wet my hands, pose for a better angle, and comb my hair carefully in the mirror. Ooh, this is beautiful art. Look at that. Can I, how do I hide? Oh, this doesn't have a hide button. Unless it's middle. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That's pretty. Falling gray hairs fluttered down like snow from my scalp, eventually landing in the wash basin. Shedding season had already passed, obviously. Even those falling hairs had regrown in the winter. Maybe I should take care of myself better next time I get busy. Last thing I need to do is look terrible in front of clients. What's in the cellar? I'm a little thirsty. Maybe just one more drink? Squeezed behind the counter, grabbed a mug, and slipped into the cellar. Wait a moment. I better ask Sergeant first. Yeah, let me not do that. Didn't realize I could just go there. I raised a board that separated the counter and hall and squeezed through the narrow passage. Sometimes I wonder how Sergeant can cram himself into such a small space. Poked my head through the curtain. Sergeant was washing dishes, but stopped and turned on to me. What's the matter, Roman? A cup of ale, please. I'm a bit thirsty after chatting all morning. Mind if I help myself to some ale? Okay, just remember to turn off the tap. Took a mug from under the counter and slipped into the cellar. After filling my mug, I took a sip and considered my next course of action. Ah, ale, the lubricant of both minds and tongues. Raised the board that separated the counter and oh, I'm back here again. Sergeant was cleaning the dishes. Alright, I'm gonna go back here and talk to people. Let's continue to chat in the lobby. Talk. Who are you talking to? I want to talk to... I don't feel like talking to Pete. Well, I could talk to Anzox about the music yesterday. Let's see if that was him. I sat by Anzox and held my cook. What's the matter? Any new songs? Well, come up with any new songs recently? Anzox, heard any new songs recently? Okay, what? Okay. Yes. Sounds good. The fee is 1 silver set, please. You're greedier than Sarn. Nothing. Nothing special. You're welcome to take a seat and have a drink with me. Who are you talking to? Let's talk to... Well, let's just go in order. Peter. Sat across from Peter at his table. Peter looked up at me. Roman, do you think there's such a thing as true fairness? Still struggling with the same problem, eh? Compared to a lot of places in the world, Apollyon is pretty fair. Where else could you see so many different species being friendly in the same tavern? This place is the exception, not the rule. There are dozens of restaurants and taverns in the capital which only serve meat-eating mammals. Although it's forbidden by law, they always have ways to avoid it. They just tell the inspectors that, wonder of wonders, there were no herbivore customers that day, or the day special just happens to be grilled veal. You know, most of the inspectors are carnivores too. So even if the reasons are just as bald-faced lies, they can still get away with it. There are just so many injustices in life. Why do we pretend not to see them? Apollyon is still young and things take time to change. Not everyone has the time to wait. Okay, geez, Peter. I took my mug and sat opposite of Ionis. Before you start, I'll pass on the shoulder smack. Ionis, half standing, took his hand back slowly and scratched his hand embarrassedly. Sorry, old habits and such. It's just a friendly greeting is all. That's one way to put it, I guess. Looking to chat or something? Life by the sea. I'm a little curious about how life by the sea is like. Life by the sea? That's nothing special. You know how most folks like you visit the sea on holiday? It's kind of the opposite for us. It's nice to get someplace far from the brine and constant motion. Us sea folk are so used to the terrifying waves of the sea. It's kind of relaxing to enjoy the inland life for a while. After all, it's not like the earth will rise up out of the blue and swallow your house and everything in it. That's not impossible. Haven't you heard of earthquakes? Sea is like that all the time, and earthquakes only happen every so often. Aren't you a big tough sailor? Why do you fear the waves so much? The expression in Ionis' face froze so suddenly. You don't understand. Oh. Yeah, that's not a thing to ask a sailor. Why are you so afraid of the sea? Because it's the sea. Aren't you satisfied? Ooh. Aren't you satisfied with the taverns near the docks? Why come all the way to the White Star instead? Have you been to the taverns over there? I came in and had a look while I was handling a case. Then you saw the fish hooks and fishing nets they like to hang on the back wall behind the counter. You're scared of fish hooks? You would be too if you were a shark. I like that. That's all. Seems like you didn't drink enough, so you ran out of talking material, eh? Who are you talking to? Let's talk to Kane then. He's the last one. I took my mug and sat down opposite of Kane. Looks like Kane didn't notice me as he scooped up a spoonful of stew and watched it dribble down back into the bowl. I can't blame... Oh, what was your voice? I can't blame Tarzan. What? Stopping his hands, Kane looked up to me. Nothing, I just feel... No. What was the voice I gave you? It was more like country-ish. Nothing. I just feel like Tarzan's cooking still. I don't think it's not bad. Indeed, this vegetable stew is excellent. By standards of a carnivore, other carnivores won't taste anything weird. I don't want to sound like an herbivore supremacist or anything, but I still think it's better to leave the cooking vegetable dishes to people like us. I can almost hear the radishes in the kitchen I can almost hear the radishes in the stew screaming for the mistreatment. Your mood when you cook beef? Oh. Our relationship isn't that bad, is it? Of course. Then, if I ask you a sensitive question, you won't get angry at me? How could I be angry with you? What is it? Well, do you have some unique feelings when you cook steaks? You have no idea how many carnivores ask me that same question. What do you think about wolves, the ones that walk on four legs, I mean? There was a stuffed wolf head on the wall hanging in my old house, but other than that, I don't have much of an opinion. If you're fine with a stuffed wolf head, then I'm fine with cooking steaks. After all, it's not like the meat came from someone I knew. Who are you talking to? Okay, let's stop chatting for now. I'm gonna go back to the kitchen and ask him about her room. Ask about Elegant's room. Elegant is still staying here, right? Wonder which room is hers. The third room on the right. Thanks. Thanks for just telling me where she is. Okay. Oh, there's an attic? Where's it? What's in the attic? The attic was in Sargent's room, and though Anzox was also living there temporarily. Weren't any stairs between the third floor and the attic, only a ladder that went up and down. Ladder was usually pulled up into the attic, but you can use the rope connected to the top of the ladder by a pulley to bring it down. The rope, which was set between the second and third room on the oh my god, I see it, yes, just ladder would drop down if someone pulled the rope in order to get upstairs. I really shouldn't enter Sergeant's room without permission. Okay. It's my room, Elegant's room. I don't know who is in the other one, but I'm gonna knock on Elegant's room. I knocked on the door to the third room on the right. Who is it? It's me, Roman. Is something the matter? Yes, she's there. Why would I ask if she's there? I just wanted to ask a quick question. Huh? Elegant opened the door and stood there, looking at me expectantly. Her hand didn't leave the doorknob. I want to know why you dress like that, I asked in a low voice. Do you wonder about the reason why I dress like this, or are you questioning the motive? Why not both? Elegant stepped away a bit, leaving enough room for me to squeeze through the door sideways. Not sure if I should try. Her body language and expression suggested that she wasn't looking for company. Would you rather stand at my door and speak? You are aware of the recent arrival downstairs, are you not? Oh my god, your face. What is this face? She moved back again further. I slipped into the room and she shut the door behind me. They're regulars here. Decent people. You don't need to be worried about them. They may be decent individuals in this place, but that does not mean they are so outside of it. You have already seen through my disguise, so I feel no need to hide. The same cannot be said of them. As of this moment, the only ones I trust are Sarzin and you. Oh, I didn't realize I was included. It's an honor. Given your relationship with Sarzin, I can trust you for now. I'd make for an excellent ally. There is no great reason why I am here. I got a big job in the last tavern. I don't suppose you'd be willing to share next time. Only if you accept a 90-10 split for the fee. Do I get the 90? Elegant cleared her throat and continued. Are you familiar with the Cathedral of St. Isaac? What's that? A cathedral under the Rimth diocese, currently under construction in the capital. 12 years ago there was a disaster when one of the central pillars collapsed. The noble brothers who were supervising the construction site, the elder is called Brando, and the younger's name is Jonathan, were buried under the rubble. According to the reports of one of the junior clergy to the local abbot, the collapse was caused by the brothers who had lined their pockets using the substandard materials and cheating the workers. So the story proved to be a perfect tool to persuade others to donate. After all, everyone fears the punishment of God. People are willing to give up anything so long as they avoid the flames of hell. So I'm guessing you were hired to investigate further. Yes, now that I have settled in, I plan to insinuate myself into the cathedral. Your client didn't tell you to come to the White Star, did they? Of course, travelers and mercenaries tend to stop in taverns such as these when they travel. You know as well as I that the tavern rumor mill is awash with contacts and ways to exchange information. But why spend so much money investigating a closed case about something involving the church? That is neither my problem nor my concern. Take the job, perform the job, take the payment. Anything else is immaterial. I do not concern myself with any secrets my client might have. Elegant turned and opened the door. It seemed that she was counting my questions as immaterial as well. Elegant turned back to look at me, waiting silently. Well, sorry to bother you. I left quickly and sensibly. The door shut behind me with a click. Wow, okay, bye. It's nearly lunchtime. Go have lunch or chat some more? I want to have lunch. It smells like vegetable stew. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that Kane decided to bust into my kitchen and, quote, show you idiots what an actual vegetable stew is like. Lucky for you guys, he cooked the stew before I managed to hurl him out onto the street. Bad news is today's lunch is vegetable stew. You don't have any smoked fish? Sorry, you ate the last of it yesterday. Anyway, bon appetit. I stirred the stew with my spoon. The thick soup swirled slowly into the bowl. Ionis was holding the bowl to his face and dumping the liquid into his open maw. That really can't be a healthy way to eat anything. Kane ate his masterpiece contentedly without any hesitation while glancing at me secretly from time to time. I lowered my head immediately and had a few bites. It's nice to relax by the fire in the afternoon. Snow was falling outside, so Sarzin needed to sweep the snowflakes, which were blown from the doorway. Soft snow heaped on the street and muffed all the sound, like when you block up your ears with soft cotton. Everything bad or unpleasant, from outside disputes to bad ideas, is muffled by the snow. The slightly sweet scent of fresh air, chilled by the winter cold, lingers in the nose. The wind, heavy with floating snow, tapped by the wooden door enough that a band of sunlight could shine through the gap and across the wall. Suddenly, the door swung open. It's so cold. Could I get something to warm me up? That's the same voice I gave Anzox. Screw it, they both have the same voice. A fluffy white fur dragon staggered in, dragging a suitcase that was almost as big as he was, leaning on a cane. What's a child doing out in the snow like this? Well, hurry up, boy. Come in and have a rest. Don't call me a boy. Don't call me boy. Would a child be carrying this? He produced a medical license from his pocket and brandished it up at Sargent like a dagger. Sargent frowned as he read it. Oh, my apologies, Master Doctor. Please forgive my rudeness. The last thing I need is to freeze to death before I get back to my clinic. I'll just be waiting for the snow to calm down. Of course. Please warm yourself by the fire. I'll carry your things. Sargent tried to lift the suitcase and let out a labored grunt as he shifted it. What in God's name? So heavy. The dragon took off his thick and heavy coat, climbed into the chair opposite me, and reclined with a sigh full of contentment. Greetings, I'm Thrivey, a physician by trade. He rose slightly and stretched out his right hand. I returned the handshake. Roman, it's a pleasure. Maybe I'll be your patient in the future. His lips convulsed slightly. I hope that day never comes. His hands were covered with soft white fur. From the palm to the back of his hands, the stray snowflakes which he brought from the outside were melting on his fur. He looked like he'd fit right in with some of Sargent's paintings. Now then, where in the blazes am I? I never passed by here. Only reason I managed to spot this place was the lamp outside. This is the White Star's Tavern. The White Dragon looked at me with confusion. The Vela District? Vela District, my word. Well, I hadn't expected to get quite so lost. He shrugged his shoulders and looked around. Just then, the door shook violently and gave the blizzard access to the inside of the room. Falling snowflakes flew up and down with the invading storm. At the same time, someone cursed loudly in the cellar. Mind your language, there's a child. Oh, fuck off, I'm not a child. Oh, well. Oh, fuck off, I'm not a child. The gale howled outside. If someone were to go out now, he'd be mad or suicidal. Normally, shutting the door was an easy task, but became so much harder than usual in this situation. Snow from the crack whirled across my nose and eyes. I shut the door with all my strength and found a chair to block it up. Whew. As I moved to sit it back down, the door hinges creaked loudly as someone rattled the knob. What the? Oh, hell. There was a hyena laying there, wrapped tightly in a thin hooded robe. This is a tavern? Please, I humbly ask for shelter and a warm hearth. May I stay? He crawled to his feet in embarrassment as I shrugged as an answer and pointed to the cellar, just as another crash echoed from within. I'm not the boss, I can't call the shots. Perhaps the owner will show kindness and not hurl me into the street. He took off the robe on the back of a chair, and then kicked back and leaned heavily. The partially suspended chair groaned under the pressure. Sorry to keep you waiting. Going so soon, Doctor? Sargent stood in the doorway to the cellar with mugs of ale in his hands as Thrivey was getting up from the chair. I'm not feeling well and want to find a place to rest. Do you have any available rooms? How strange. Thrivey looked so fine seconds ago, but now he looks pale and weak. Let me think. I haven't cleaned the other rooms yet. Otherwise, I can offer the space I have in the attic. Thrivey walked to the stairs, politely refusing the cup Sargent offered. Thank you, but I'm a little queasy at the moment. My stomach is a bit too delicate for alcohol. Well, oh yeah, what voice did I give you? I just read your lines and I don't remember what voice I gave you. Well, no need to waste such fine ale. Sargent stared in surprise as the hyena plucked the mug from his hand without any hesitation and intended to drink. Hold on, you're a friar, aren't you? Perhaps he's also a pretender like Elegant. Don't bother with such rigid rules. 'Tis far nobler to not waste the gifts granted by God. Well, how should I address you? Sargent crossed out a line on the bill with his pencil, then added a few words. It seems like you don't go to church on the weekends, or you'd know my name. I would go, but seeing as I'm the only one working this tavern, I don't have much chance. Excuse me. With a slight frown, Sargent turned back and quickly retreated into the kitchen. I suppose that he would stay there for a long time. Oh, I just remembered I have something important to do. Goodbye. What else is more important than rescuing your soul, my child? Come now, stay. The moment I touched the stair railing, the hyena had pinned my hand with a smile. The blink of the Phi cross which hung across his chest was dazzling. Well, so much for escaping. What's your name? I believe I've never seen your face before in my church. I'm not in this parish. That doesn't matter, even though we're from different parishes, all of us are in the same family. I'm Father Heron. Nice to meet you. I stretched out 3 fingers and gingerly shook his hand. I'm Roman. Nice to... He interrupted me before I could get a word in edgewise and began to make a speech without any pause, gesturing towards me excitedly. Tell me, child, do you know where we will go after death? I'm sure you'll never think about that. How to settle your audiences to sleep. Step 1, ask a question and answer it yourself. He let go of my hand and I quickly climbed the stairs. Thrivey was standing in the corridor and staring blankly up at the ceiling. Surely there's some way to... Here, leave it to me. I went ahead and untied the knot step by step. This white dragon watched as I untied the strings from the wooden handle quietly beside me. Okay, I got it. Next up is just... Release the rope slowly. Yes. I put the ropes down step by step. The ladder dropped slowly with a squeak from pulleys. Finally, the ladder descended between us. So that's the trick. Thank you. Seems like you're familiar with this place. I am a regular customer, so I know a few things about this place. The white-furred dragon caught hold of the handrail of the ladder and tried his best to climb up the very steep steps. Spacing of the ladder's rungs was suitable for someone of Sargent's size, so it was a little large for him. The nightstand was half opened. What? I moved quickly, pulling the drawer, and began searching. My wallet's still there, as were my magnifying glasses in their fleece bag. The evidence case from the crime scene. I rummaged through the sundries I had stored in there, my hand dipping down into the drawer. Finally, my finger touched a cold, hard object buried deep among the linens. There it is. I tucked the case back down deep underneath my things and stuffed everything back in the drawer. I quietly cursed the lack of a lock. That cheap bastard sergeant must have thought nobody would bother to rob his guests. Imagine that. Nothing was lost, but I know I didn't leave the drawer open. Think, who had access to my room after lunch? Only 2 can be excluded. Who didn't have the chance to enter my room after lunch? Who didn't have the chance? Well, Thrivey came in after lunch. Well, no, Thrivey went upstairs with Sargent. So, after lunch it would be Heron and... Well, I got Sargent, because Sargent came back down. No, Sargent actually never went with him. So yeah, Sargent and Heron were the only ones who were always downstairs the whole time. Sargent managed everything all the time from downstairs, so he didn't have time to go upstairs until now, excluded. Heron, he chatted without a stop in front of me since he got here. May have a bad impression, but it wasn't him. As for everyone else, I'll need to investigate. I locked the door and went downstairs. Well, what else would you like to order? That's enough. Thank you for the warm hospitality, good sir. The lynx who just came in swept off his thick coat and casually dropped it into Heron's arms as he walked past. What are you doing? Child, I am not a coat rack. Sargent took the coat from Heron's hands and quickly hung it from the progressively more overburdened coat rack. Heron let out an offended huff, then walked over to the fireplace and sat down, fur on his back raised and hackled. The lynx walked towards me as he adjusted his collar, meeting me at the bottom of the stairs. Hello there, just call me Vincel. He reached into his pocket of his fancy puff-sleeved topcoat and produced something with a flourish. It was a scroll about the size of a finger, with smooth-edged paper wrapped around a varnished wooden core. That explained a few things. This guy smelled the money. Vincel Link, Spices and Herbs. I am Roman, the detective that... Splendid, Mr. Roman. May I take your contact details later? I may have some need for a detective in the future. Interesting. Well, if you want to. I tucked the scroll in my pocket and wiped the sweat on my hand in the suit. I can provide you with my address once you're settled in. I stepped out of the way so Vincel could trot upstairs. Sargent followed him with his luggage. People nowadays, Heron was muttering to himself as he turned to me. I believe you said something about thorns on the road to salvation earlier, Father? You... Heron's words stuck in his throat at the sight of Sergeant coming downstairs. I'll prepare dinner. Feel free to chat. Sergeant lifted the curtain and went into the kitchen, leaving me and Heron in the room together, alone. I quickly moved, reaching for the easiest excuse to get away from the hyena before he pounced. I'm going to leave an address for him. We can talk later. I rushed to the stairs before he could object. Vincel stood at the door to his room. I don't suppose it's a coincidence that your room is right next to mine, Mr. Vincel. That you'd be staying in the suite at the end of the corner. The rooms are all the same, my good wolf. It's not as if I have much in the way of luggage. He stepped over to the doorway and leaned on it, motioning me over with a constant mild smile. Here you are, just right here. I accepted the sharpened quill and jotted down the address of my office on the paper he gave me. Though I called it my office, it was just the parlor of the flat that I rented. If a client came without reservation, they'd be shocked by the casual atmosphere there. I didn't always have the time or energy to sweep or clean up after myself. It cost me more than one client's business. He tucked the paper into his pocket where he put the scroll, then gave me a finger wave goodbye. Funny, I expected something more, like the scent of exotic spices or fancy cologne at least. Or maybe that was just me expecting something more ostentatious. It's snowing. Oh god, I don't remember how I do your voice. It's snowing heavily out there. Kane tightened the lock and dusted off his hands. You're bloody lucky if it's a holiday, so I don't need to hurry going back. Why not stay here until the snow is lighter? Just think of it as being on a case with me. Bugger off, as if anyone will accompany you. I told you not to come in when I have my door locked that night. No need to be rude. You all wanted to talk. You forgot to buy my drink after that case I helped you with. Alright, okay. I'll treat you soon. What's your poison? Ale? Wine? Of course it's ale. Who's gonna treat someone to some ale? Ionis emerged from the door at the end of the corridor. Are you up to your gills and coins? How come you can pay for the corner suite? Heh, you only pay if you stay the night. That explains it. We walked downstairs one by one. I told you not to come into the kitchen. I'm busy. Sergeant was leaning out of the kitchen with a stern glare. But my child, isn't the redemption of the soul more... Last I checked, you can't feed customers with redemption. Now stay put. I'm pretty sure you can't just command piety. I took seat beside Heron. He scooted over to give me some room. Maybe you should just take it easy for the night. I haven't done my endeavor if I haven't converted everyone. Everyone here is a pious believer. If that were true, you'd be at the pews at Sunday service. I would, just as soon as criminals stop committing crimes on Sunday. Crime is merely a symptom of moral wickedness. If more people prayed... Last I checked, Father Heron, praying doesn't solve everything. Indeed, for worldly matters, we must rely on the beneficence of worldly assistance. Unnoticed Elegant had already came downstairs and claimed a seat across the table from Heron. Even the most righteous may fall into iniquity and ruin if they casually mingle with those steeped in sin. Then perhaps you should worry more about your own righteousness. After all, you only risk further degeneration if you casually mingle with us sinners. You. Want some supper to go along with your moral philosophy? Sergeant slapped 2 bowls of carrot stew in front of me and Heron. The soup sloshed from the bowl and landed on the table. Bon appetit. When he served the stew to Vincel... Why are we saying bon appetit? There's no Italy here. Go away. When he served the stew to Vincel, it was refused by a hasty wave of the hand, so he served the stew to Elegant. Perhaps I've been a bit prickly. You're not the only one. Bon appetit. Do you really have to imitate him? It began to grow dark. That's literally just a painting of the guy who just went upstairs. What was his name? What's his name? Thrivey. Look how short he is! I love him. Snow piled on the windowsills and in front of the door, and the pavement had all but vanished. Anzoc strummed his snatches in the melody in his. Anzoc strummed in snatches of melody in his corner, just like every bard in an inn stuck in an inn by heavy snow. Looks like we have to stay overnight. Do I got time to change to a smaller room so I could save some money for ale? Maybe go without ale for the night. Do you know 2 places without ale? Jail and hell. That's why I come to the tavern. It's the furthest place from both. Ionis took the seat at the bar and moved to scratch the countertop. The change is okay. In this kind of weather, every guest counts. Sarzin slid a mug to Ionis across the counter. Drink up, but scratch my bar and I'll take it out of your hide. Knock. Oh. Hello. Muffled voice came from behind the door. Knock, knock, knock. Hello? Hello? Continual knocks came through the snowberry door, attracting everyone's attention. Snow was piled up as high as my hips. Who would be knocking at this time of night? Everyone kept silent. Ionis moved in front of the candle to hide it. Please, our carriage is stuck in the snow. How many of you are there? Sargent opened the partition and squeezed himself out from behind the counter. He kept his left hand concealed in his coat. 3, please. We have money. We just want somewhere we can pass the night. I can only see 1. Sergeant grimaced and cracked the door open to peek out. My master and mistress are still in the carriage. Come on in then. Sergeant pushed the door wider, allowing a thin figure to stagger inside with a gust of snow. Thank God! The wheels were stuck in the snow, and our horses panicked and broke their legs. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Wow. If we hadn't seen the light at the tavern, I don't know what we would have done. Thank me later. I'll go rescue the other 2. I'll give you a hand. Sargent and Ionis took their coats and went out the door, though Ionis' coat didn't seem to fit him very well. Phew, is there any way I can warm myself? The goat patted the snow off his coat and shuffled over to the fireplace. I'm surprised you made it this far with the way you're shivering. It's too cold for being near the capital. Ridiculous. By the way, my name is Sean. I'm Roman. Nice to meet you. I didn't feel comfortable shaking the hand of someone trembling so hard. Luckily, he seemed more focused on warming his hands by the fire. Door swung open heavily as Sergeant guided 2 people wrapped with thick cloaks inside. He left them by the fireplace to pour ale for them. Oh, okay. Here you are. Drink it to warm yourselves. Ionis carried the luggage in and returned his overly tight coat to the coat rack, which I then noticed was actually my coat. Jerk. I'll admit, I doubt my place will meet your usual standards. Any port in a storm, as they say. Merci beaucoup. Just take it easy. I'll try to accommodate you as best I can. May I know your names, please? Lunique. Marquis Lunique Harlock, and this... Oh, sorry. That's him. I thought that was her. Lunique. Marquis Lunique Harlock, and this is my wife, Sola. A gray-furred wolf emerged from underneath the cloak. Snow clung to his messy but glossy fur. His amber-orange eyes landed on me. I wonder if you remember me. Oui, certainly. You're the detective who resolved a crucial case for us, monsieur. Roman? Ah, yes, Roman. Pardon, it had almost slipped out of my memory. He turned back to take off his wife's cloak before handing both to his servant goat. Sean caught... Oops, my bad. I accidentally skipped that. Sean caught the 2 cloaks and stood aside like a living coat rack. Guess nobles have short memories. Your room is ready. It's not exactly a suite in the capital, but it's clean and tidy. No need to mention, they must be staying in the double suite at the end of the corridor. Thank you, I must simply get out of these shoes. Sean, I think the glue of my heels came loose from the snow melt. Sergeant walked ahead, with a suitcase in each hand and a candle held by his tail. The Marquise followed him up. Kane watched them go upstairs from the seat at the counter, fiddling with his pendant. Seems Kane's pendant was never apart from him, though the color and scratches on it meant he wouldn't be worth much. Sergeant came back downstairs. That's interesting. That's suspicious. Is there anyone here who doesn't have a room? Like me? Oh, forgive me, Father. Well, we have a nice big room left over for the Marquis' servant. Heron's pout was so intense it was almost audible. As I'm sure you know, the warriors of God must keep away from worldly pleasure which weakens them. That includes staying overnight at the inn's big suite. I suppose that is indeed the case. So I think it's alright. Okay. Vincel and Thrivey came downstairs one after another. So, hold on. He's staying in the second room on the left. Fourth room on the left. Staying in the suite end of the corner door. So Tiger says, I wonder how she usually gets along with her husband. Okay. Thrivey walked straight to the counter, took a seat beside Kane and Ionis, and started reading a book like he was in his own little world. For I can notice it, Kane had plucked the pendant off his neck and strode upstairs. The pendant swung about, and the string of it twined between his index and finger and thumb. I do say it's gotten much more lively, hasn't it? We don't usually have a packed house this late. Anyone care for a game? Sergeant took the length of blue flannel from under his counter and spread it on the table. If you have any objections to gambling, you can go upstairs and play by yourselves. Sean stood there at the table, looking longingly at the flannel before clearing his throat. I must attend to my master and mistress. Good evening. Are you just gonna gawk, or are you gonna join us? Oh yes, I'm coming. I sat by the makeshift card table. Sergeant pulled out 4 cards and put them in a line. Let's have a simple game to warm up. What about guessing the suits? No problem. Picked out 4 cards with different suits. Leongle, Blade, Chalice, Garen. Could you not say staff, sword, chalice, coin? Leongle and Garen. Understand? Not understand. Got it, let's get started. Yes, let's start. Alright. First, guess which one is Leongle. 1 to 4. Cool. I picked the third card. It was the Leongle. Wow, congratulations. Now let's guess which one is the Blade. Ah, dang, Garen. I was gonna pick the last one too. Pick the first card. It was not the Blade. Seems you're wrong. After 2 rounds, I fetched a small profit. Heron concentrated his attention on watching the gambling. I couldn't tell if he was watching critically or just enjoy. Let me empty my wallet. I'll be back soon. Don't flee from the battlefield so soon. Do you want to lose more? Should I fear that? Poor luck. Elegant was at the stairs. She raised her veil and smirked at me. What do you want? It's not important. I've got a card game waiting for me. It is, and it is an important matter. She stepped back to the wall and backed away to the door of her room and opened the door. Is the mysterious act necessary? Very necessary. She shut the door behind me. Doing well. Are you still wearing a bell? Are you still wearing a bell? What? Never mind. In a word... Before she could speak a whole sentence. Bang. With a crunching sound. Bang. The second one. Bang. The third echoed in the tavern with a hoarse roar. What on earth? What on earth? Don't worry. I guess it's just Kane losing his temper. He'll calm down soon, then go cry and blame himself all night. Anyway, you were saying something? I doubt it will be that simple. We should go to check to make sure. Whatever you had to say seemed pretty important. Don't let me die of curiosity, please. Well, in a word, bang. A deep sound. The sound was different than the last. It was like something heavy fell slammed into the ground. Something that probably weighed as much as a person. What happened? Ooh, claws. I slammed the door open, bouncing it off the wall as Elegant followed me out. The sound had come from the opposite side of the hall, Kane's room. I tried the doorknob, but it was locked. I thumped, pushed, kicked with all my strength, but the door wouldn't budge. Sean ran from the double room in a hurry, and a handkerchief in one hand. What happened? I think something happened to Kane in his room, but the door's locked and we can't get it. Oh, that was elegant, my bad. Locked. Locked. Sergeant rushed from the stairs when he heard that, trying to push through the rest of the crowded guests to fetch his keys. We can't wait. Sean backed up, bent his head down, and brushed the door with his horn. My vision went black. The air was still, the sounds of choppy breaths and sobs gradually filled my ear. A scream sliced through the still air and echoed in my ears. My vision slowly cleared, and as soon as I could identify the shape of the scene before me. A wooden cup and a copper candlestick were resting on the ground. Dull red liquid like viscous wine trickled down the back of the chair and pooled on the ground. The air was thick with a coppery metallic smell. Kane was slumped in the chair, like he was asleep. If you ignore the knife which was thrust into his chest, a pattern of reddish gold bloomed along the lines of the knife handle, then splatters of red spread across his body. Kane's body shuddered involuntarily as the last traces of life fled from his corpse. Nobody moved. It was like the world had slowed to a crawl, like witnessing a terrible accident that you couldn't do anything to stop. Thought by now I'd seen enough death and carnage to not be shaken by one more grisly murder scene. Until I found myself staring at Kane's slowly stiffening corpse. The familiar odor of Kane's musk mixed with the metal smell of blood and the reek of death caught in my throat. Someone do something! Sarsen burst into the room, but was stopped by Anzox and Sean clinging to his sides. Oh, why? Why in my tavern of all places? Who did it? Which one of you did it? Sarsen roared as he shook Anzox and Sean off, his lips pulled back to show his fangs and shoulders hunched. His wings began to spread angrily, struggling to free themselves from the straps he held them with. Okay, yeah, that's why he has straps in his wings, because when he gets angry, they flare. The friendly innkeeper persona dropped away. In its place was an enraged dragon out of some barge tale, furious that someone had dared defile its lair. He leveled his glare at me. Get a hold of yourself. I'm crushed that Kane's dead, and I don't know who did it. Then find out. Find out the murderer. I'll do everything I can. Thank you. It's very important for me. Sergeant recovered his composure, his fangs hidden back under his lips, and his posture relaxed. I expect all guests will cooperate with Roman's investigation in order to resolve this as soon as possible. He tossed me the ring of keys, turned around, and slowly walked downstairs, with his footsteps heavy on the stairs. I remember there was also another set of keys in the attic. I should have a look later. Well then, time to get to work. If you wish, Detective, I can help by checking the corpse. If you don't want to face him so soon, that is. I'd appreciate it. I'll admit, I only treat living patients, but given the situation we now face, that's fine. I'll work with you while you investigate elsewhere. Return after you finish. With this, he turned back and tightened his medical gloves before getting to work. Search start.